Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. It is March 20th. We are in spring. We are on the other side of the solstice. Of course, if you're in Australia, where I just was, you're in fall. Wow. It is crazy. So I have to just say, disclosure, right? I just got home last night at 11 p.m. after being gone since December 30th.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding. And so what that means is that yeah, I'm a little all over the place right now. I feel like my awareness, but I'm also super excited for this training and riding the wave of just having circled up with the creatively fit coaches in Australia. So I am going to just practice what I preach, so to speak, and all the coaches can nod their heads. And I'm always sharing, be yourself, share where you are, share authentically. It's not about being perfect. So I am going to give you some insight into the energy of the coaching training, as will be communicated through what I am super fired up about right now, with this whole journey that I've been on for 28 years. So like, holy smokes, it just keeps giving and giving and expanding and learning new facets. It's just such a joy. And then I will share my screen and go into sharing the curriculum, give your left brain a little bit of information. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, as well as if you're watching this as a replay, you can just reply to the email, comment under the video if you're watching it on YouTube. Email me, whitneyfreya@gmail.com, if you have any questions. I think the first and foremost element of this coaching training that I love the most is one, so it's kind of twofold. One is that this whole training came about because of an email from a woman in Nigeria asking me if I had an African branch. And my ego almost choked when I read that. I was like, I don't have a stick or a twig or a leaf or anything, right? It was just me. But someone else had asked me at a book signing a couple months previously if I taught people how to teach art the way I teach art. And I was like, we're working on that. That's always your answer. Like, you never say no, right? And so when this woman emailed me from Nigeria, I did what I always advise everyone to do when making decisions. Because the email was so long and passionate, and my first reaction was like, sorry, I don't have an African branch. I wish you the best, right? That was kind of my first instinct because of the energy of the email. So like, because of the feeling I did feel in my heart, I decided to wait 24 hours and see what came up. And within like 12 hours, two people in this county of 7,000 people mentioned Nigeria to me out of the blue. So I replied back to the email with a whole new level of attentiveness and curiosity that led to this creatively fit coaching training. And then that magic is just met by the fact that my greatest advice is, if this training speaks to you, if it calls to you, if you like Sam said, your words feel like my words. Usually people say, the hair on their neck stood up at some point, or their arms, or they got the chills, or just this feeling of like, I know this, I know these people. That is the secret sauce, because we are all united in this like shared passion for color, for playing with color, for playing with paint, for possibility. We love wild and crazy ideas. We're passionate about getting to the heart, the authentic core of who we are, and then allowing that to inspire and benefit others, right? We're people that love to turn around and share and help and support others. So we help and support other people develop their own sacred and personal painting practice so that they can learn and get to know themselves as creators, and then apply what they learn to create a life, the art that is their life, in a way that lights them up. So it is like Christmas morning, every time you teach someone, every time you get to witness someone overcoming fear, meeting up with a resistance, and then allowing that experience to teach them and serve them rather than push it away. Okay, like just that right there is life-changing. And we can learn that at the canvas. Okay, so before I opened my art center in 96, where I started my whole journey, I had not painted on a canvas literally since I was 9. I can still picture the canvas. It was abstract and it was just lots of colors. And the art teacher stood in front of me and my mom and said, Whitney has a great eye for color and balance, but drawing isn't her thing. And so what I heard was like, I'm not an artist. And so I became this wannabe all the way up until opening the art center. Seriously. I mean, there's way more to that story, but I'd sold books door to door. Nothing's as scary as selling books door to door. So opening an art center with no art background, no problem. Anyway, so I opened this art center. I learned along with my students. And without even me being the one teaching the classes, my adult students, because I taught kids as well, started making changes in their lives. They started saying yes to things that maybe they would have said no to. They started following their intuition more so than they did before. I remember one woman said how she got an invitation to go to like a symphony or something during the week. And she normally doesn't do that on a work night, right? But she felt, she sensed, she perceived intuitively that there was a bigger reason for her to go. So she did. And as a result, met a person that was like the missing piece for some project she was trying to do, whatever. So things like that, like your entire life, like the pattern, the rhythm of your life changes when you learn to start looking at it as art with you as the artist. And at the canvas, in this coaching training, you learn how to guide people through a simple process where they're able to witness themselves, observe themselves at the canvas, like, oh, okay, I'm getting stuck here. I'm meeting up with resistance here. Create the change they want, focus on what they want, and then learn and be the change they want to be while they paint. So like if you're a perfectionist or you have a heavy inner critic or you have a real detail oriented, logical, day job, maybe you come to the canvas to be wild and free and loose and crazy and intuitive and magical. Or maybe like I do sometimes, I go to the canvas to practice being detail oriented. I still don't like being detail oriented, but I can. It's available to me on my palette. So we're creating a space where people understand we are not talking the old creative story that's about talent, technique, skill. We were all raised in a culture that said, even if you have talent, even if you're one of the, chosen few that were born creative, never mind that like creativity is prana, is breath, is life. You probably shouldn't even spend time doing it because you probably won't get benefits being an artist. You won't earn enough money even as a graphic designer, right? I mean, a lot of you probably even changed your desires in life because that was what was talked about around the kitchen table. That's the old story around art and creativity, that there are no victims, we're infinite beings, we got nothing but time. But the capitalistic Western culture that wants us to be consumers, again, totally fine, no victims, wants us to look to them to, kind of fill that inner need. They created this story where art is product. Art only has value if someone will give you money. So that's where most of us stopped. That's where I stopped, saying I didn't have any natural talent. I couldn't draw things realistically instantly. So I must not be one of those people invited into that club. And I was such a vocal wannabe. Like I freaked people out at my 20th high school reunion. They literally were like, you do what? Because I was so vocal. And I didn't see anyone for like those years, 0 to 20. Anyway, so the painting practice that we teach encourages people and creates a space where they can let go of the old story and step into the new story around creativity, which is like you're actually creating your reality in each and every moment. The only question is if you're doing it with or without awareness. And as we know, we want to be the change we want to see in the world. And the world, for the most part, is an example of creating without awareness, right? So, as a creatively fit coach, this magic, this call, I believe, is at like a soul level, right? Like we came here to be a part of reminding people, remember how creative you are, remember how what you focus on expands. Anything you read in a book, a self-help, a spiritual, consciousness, meditation, any book you read, any teaching can be experienced at the canvas, right? So we take what life is offering us to learn, to grow, to expand. I had to look for words, right? Challenging. We've all had, I've just had lots of challenging lessons on this trip I had. And we take what we want to learn and we turn our creative focus into what is possible here. How am I being guided to learn, to expand, to trust, to love more, to be more authentic, to let go of stories that aren't mine, ... And then usually there's an image that comes about as a result. So let me give another practical example. This past weekend, I was at a women's leadership retreat with my good friend Maria Booney, who is now here in my house for the next 3 weeks. Very excited about that. And we had a lot of conversation around, we were doing psychedelic mushroom journeys. And I don't know if I should say that. Anyway, ish, symbolically speaking. And there was a lot of imagery, right? And there's a lot of old stories that came up. And there was a lot of connection with symbols and images on the altar. We talked about it being a year of the wood dragon. And I was constantly saying like, okay, so now when you go home, paint that, right? Paint the dragon, paint the words, I am stepping into, I love my life that is now, right? So we create with the canvas into our physical reality what we want to experience more of in the art that is our life. I'm going to give some other practical examples. And if any of you coaches have a painting you want to show and tell, just raise your hand. Okay. So this painting, my Laughing Buddha, this is on a canvas that always hangs in the kitchen. And I paint over and over and over that painting. And trust me, like I don't know right now how I'm ever going to paint over Laughing Buddha, but I didn't know how I was ever going to paint over the goddess Newt before I did that. So anyway, we layer and layer over paintings. Like I'm going to paint a dragon soon, like within the next week, and I'm probably going to paint it over the winged serpent that I have hanging in the bathroom, just because I have no more room for paintings on my walls, and the dragon is coming up. So each of these paintings were painted for a very specific reason. So the first time I painted Laughing Buddha, I can totally remember I was sitting in my previous house that I was renting after leaving the marriage house. And I had a very frustrating call with the team that was helping me at the time grow my business, because they loved me and they loved what I was doing, and they were giving me a deal. So then they were under delivering, right? Like it was one of those tricky things. And I was just crying. I was crying. And I was like, okay, what do I want right now? I'm like, I just want to be happy. So I went upstairs and I painted a Laughing Buddha. That's the Buddha painting that's in the Buddha painting course, right? So I'm going to take you around and show you some other little paintings that I've done to give you an idea, right? So as a creatively fit coach, we're working with our clients. First, you're teaching them the simple 4-layer process, painting made easy, that you learn in the training, that gets them to the place of like, oh my God, I can paint, right? That's the first step. Then in the course of talking to them, you will probably identify some symbols or images or themes, right? We almost always start the paintings with words of intention. These are little paintings I created because I think a couple years ago, I was working with snake energy. And then 2 years ago, I was working with this like kind of hand of spirit symbol. I'm always working with symbols for the year. So those were to remind me of the shedding of the skin and all the magic that I have in my hands. This one is Freya. She is like my guide, the most amazing portal. which is a whole other thing. And we had a magical experience this morning. So I was talking to Marie. I was reading from my journal that I wrote during this weekend, and I was very emotional. And she got the guidance. She goes, "Look for the bear over there," is what she like heard. And she looked over here. And do you guys see this bear in the corner of the painting? Okay, had never seen the bear before, right? So she's like, "Do you see the bear?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so literally what I was reading from my journal was about emerging and women emerging, and how each of us, okay, I'm going to try not to cry, but each of us are emerging into more authentic, more independent, more powerful aspects of ourselves. But we're not just emerging from our own personal journey, right? Like we're emerging from generations of women that have not been able to be independent and free, and then emerging for all the women on this planet that currently still cannot be independent and free. So now we've got Great Mother Bear emerging from the mountains. I mean, okay, so then I'm about to get in the shower, because I was looking a little rough, and Marie picks up this drum mallet that Robert Salem, who's a creatively fit coach, made for me. She's like, "What's this?" She's like, "I was just called to pick this up." And I'm like, "Oh, Robert Salem, da da da." And I'm like, "Marie, guess what this fur is? Bear." Okay. So in that example, I will clearly also be painting a bear very soon, right? So that the bear is like, I go to paint the bear to be like, okay, why are you showing up? What's the message from the bear? And as I paint, I will have a conversation with that bear. Now, this is not usually like the first session you have with a client or a workshop, right? This is when, one, they've overcome the fear of painting. You've taught them the painting made easy practice, and they've been exposed to how the canvas can be a mirror, how you can learn about yourself, right? How they can witness themselves. Then we start painting symbols. In the coaching training, you'll paint 12 symbols that you intuitively find coming up for you. You paint over and over one canvas. Detachment. And so you start tuning in to all the visual cues, right? It just like life becomes this multidimensional magical thing. Okay, this little lady here, this is Yellow Tara, which is an aspect of Lakshmi, which I painted again back when I had, left a marriage and left a lot of, financial security, and was, having not irregular freak out financial moments. And so I painted the goddess of abundance and prosperity, right? So you go to the canvas to like kind of force yourself to focus on what you want, because what happens is in our minds, we think about what we want, and then we almost immediately, from my experience, start imagining, what if that doesn't happen? What's my backup plan? Right? So we're painting pictures of what we don't want. And that makes life this contradictory kind of experience, right? Because you want one thing, but then you're worried that it won't happen. Which is why we always want to paint a Buddha, have as many Buddhas around as possible to find that calm and peace and center, right? So this is the journey. This is what every creatively fit coach on this Zoom, and you could ask any of them in the Whitney Frey Studio group or whatever, they all have these paintings around their homes that were very intentionally created with a desire, the fruition of that desire already declared as truth, painting in their space to remind them to keep even their unconscious thoughts on track, right? So all I can say is it is continually amazing to me, and I'm about to share why it's so amazing. So some of you may have heard me say this recently or whatever. You remember me saying how I'm still amazed and surprised at how powerful this painting practice is. Like I still, up until now, did not understand why it was so transformational, why it's kept me so sparked and fired up for 28 years. Like seriously, I haven't done anything for 28 years except be alive. And now I understand. So this, okay, so when this was in New Zealand, and I had this whole connection to how, everything's energy, right? But you and I are particularly focused energy, right? Like the cells started multiplying, and then some cells broke off and became a heart, or a tooth or an ear, right? We're very specific, focused energy. And then the next thing I heard was, where are you sending that focused energy? How are you being focused energy? And I was like, ooh, focused energy. So you've all heard me talk about like coherence, and allowing our words and our actions to be in coherence, in alignment with what it is we want. So this was just adding like this laser beam energy to that. And then I was like, okay, so my passion is living from this place of everything's energy, that we're infinite beings having a human experience. How do we really live on the ground, on this planet, abundantly, joyfully, in relationship, with that awareness as our foundation? So then what I understood is that is my passion. The painting, the role of the painting practice, as I just described, not the painting you were taught in school, or you wanted to get taught in school. This is this new creative story that I'm talking about. This painting practice is to connect you to the same energy or frequency of that infinite, creative, focused energy, right? So we know that everything is energy, and energy attracts, like attracts like, right? So if you're at home going through the mail, like I just did, opening up the $800 bill for the hot tub, realizing the last 3 months of the mortgage didn't get paid because the auto pay didn't go through before I left for 3 months. Anyway, if you're in that kind of real world to-do list kind of energy, it is difficult to align with and expand that energy of infinite possibilities in your ability to access that, right? But when I go to paint and I become present, which is where the creative mindset frequency is, in the present moment, and I am connecting to the infinite number of colors I can paint in that moment, the infinite number of symbols or images that I can paint on the canvas in that moment, and that I am the creator of my experience in that moment. That is where the creative frequency comes in. That's where you get the insight, the next steps, how to handle, the constriction or tension or frustration that you just felt going through the mail, right? And it's from there that you expand that consciousness. So I'm imagining now, and maybe all the coaches will have a kind of a contest to see who can illustrate this the best, right? So I'm picturing like, imagine like the person painting the canvas is like this tall, right? So we've got a person painting on a canvas, and then all around is this kind of sparkly, dark and light and color, like a toroidal shape of this creative frequency. And so we want to paint regularly to generate enough of that creative frequency that becomes our normal, right? This is why so many people have done the 21-day painting meditation challenge that I have, right? And I kind of, first suggestion is to do it in the morning. When you start your day bathing yourself in that creative frequency, ladies, right? How do we know the rest of the day goes? Like so much better, right? You're like, lightness of being and looking for, how is this going to work? I know it's going to work. How's it going to work? It makes a difference for your whole day. So I have found, just since this aha, like I am working in my art journal more. I'm going to put up that big old canvas that the rainbow got painted on, for those rainbow body pictures. I'm going to put that up, and I'm just going to go and paint on this massive canvas just to generate that creative frequency. Because ultimately, what I care about for you all is not that you learn how to become this master painter, which, listen, if you want that, it will happen as soon as you let go of like the comparisonitis and thinking that, you have to paint like someone else to get there. You'll find your own secret sauce. But what I am most interested in and what I get super fired up about is watching you live your life as art. What you learn at the canvas, rippling out beyond the canvas and influencing your practical day-to-day life. That's the end game, is to live a life that lights you up, that you can look back on and be like, I lived my life as art. There was no rat race. I wasn't climbing a ladder or just ticking things off the to-do list. I lived life as art. And along the way, because of my painting practice, seated in my painting practice, I was able to be more present. I was able to notice the colors around me. I was able to appreciate nature. I was able to feel part of the fabric of existence because I learned how these symbols, like that the bear experience, you guys, like, what? Bear. Like, we are not alone. We are so interconnected. All of this gets unlocked and people discover it in their own way, their own version. This isn't like what Whitney's experience is and then everybody else have that. It comes through everybody differently. It meets you exactly where you are and gives you what you need to stay present, take one step at a time in the direction of what you desire. That's why we paint. And so if being that for yourself, learning that for yourself, painting at least 16 paintings, developing this painting practice that becomes like, breakfast, lunch, painting, if you're interested in being that for yourself, and then creating opportunities for others to step into that and find their own inner life artist in their own inner spark and fan that flame and help them to do that, then this is absolutely the training for you. And if any of those things, if you're like, okay, well, this is way more spiritual than I thought, or way more this, or, then please don't. I want you to feel the resonance in the call, in this energy that I'm, just expressing. This is the energy you want to feel resonant with. Okay. And I'll go through some of the left brain stuff. And if you have any of you here live, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But that's the energy you want to tap into. And what we know for sure, what I have learned as an entrepreneur, so I've been literally a full-time entrepreneur since 1996. Okay. And I've been a poor entrepreneur, financially speaking, not energetically. I've been a rich entrepreneur. And what I can tell you is that it is all about like doing what you love and sharing that with others. And when you invest in that passion, even if it's a frightening amount of money, I mean, seriously, you all, I spent $37,000 on a training with Lisa Nichols. Okay. And it took me a couple years to pay that off, but I did. And then, have made it back tenfold. What I learned and what the energy I aligned with during that training is what pulled me up, right? Is what caused me to be like, I am going to do this. It is an investment of energy that is energy you want to expand. That's where we spend our money. Okay. So if it is in alignment, if you would like to earn extra income doing what you love, if you would like to be a part of a community like this and get curious about how it's going to unfold, this is absolutely something you want to do. If you're really looking for like get rich quick or like the widget or the something, I don't know, like don't do this, please, right? This is like heart-led, big picture, and let's do it abundantly. Because creativity, we're mostly women. I mean, there are like 4 men creatively fit coaches and they are beyond precious, right? But creativity, women and women having financial abundance, those are all things that this world needs desperately in order to come back into balance. And I am completely committed to supporting you in coming into alignment with the you that is all of that and more. So that gives you an idea of the vibe, right, ladies? And I will share my screen. I'm going to show you the curriculum to give you an idea. So the coaching training is set up where there is online curriculum that is there now available to you for lifetime. You have lifetime access. And all the video lessons, the painting made easy process I mentioned, the 12 paintings you're going to paint over and over on the canvas, that's all in the Creatively Fit Coaching Training course at whitneyfreyastudio.com. That's where you log in to access the content. Okay. Then we have a private Facebook group just for the people in the training, the Creatively Fit coaches that are serving as guides, myself, Angela Murray, who's our master Creatively Fit coach, and Kim Sales, who's my right-hand goddess. And we're all in there to get to know each other, to support each other. This is where you make like lifelong friends, right? And then we do 2 group calls that are the main training calls, 2 of those a month for 7 months. It's a 7-month training. You have a year to complete everything, to get your badge and certification and all that. And those 2 group calls always meet at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, because that's the time that Europe can join us, Australia, New Zealand can join us, and East to West Coast can join us. They are all recorded. And if you catch the replay, we encourage you to, do your share in the Facebook group. And the first 3 months, every single week, there's an open studio led by one of the Creatively Fit coaches who are serving as guides. So that way, every week, there's an opportunity for you to hop on to one of those open studios, which are totally optional. But this is a chance for you to get to know each other. We learn so much from each other. It gives the guides an opportunity, which being a guide is level 4 of the training, which you'd have an opportunity to do. It gives them an opportunity to practice sharing their passion, how this work has chosen to come through them online in a Zoom experience. And, if you miss one of the group calls, you can make one of the open studios, and those are also recorded. The 4-month last part of the training is with me. And for the first time, this group, for no extra charge, is going to get training on how to use Rise Above, a transformational painting challenge, my newest online course, how to use that as a Creatively Fit coach, as well as how to teach live workshops, creating a 3-part video workshop, or maybe you want to choose what I call the artivism expression, where you create a body of art that has a message that you're going to create and share with the world. So it's all about making creativity and painting and the symbols and living life as art more available, and more like make more people aware of how that works. So that's the general structure. Let me share my screen and I'll show you the abundance that is the Creatively Fit coaching training. So again, let me remind you that I've been leading this training since 2010. So, I add things in like this guide and log right here that's in this lesson. This is a result of people that want like checklists, that want to see the big picture, want summaries, all of that. So I created this. It's a tool. This content in a lot of ways has a lot of kind of buffet aspects to it, right? So there's no need to get kind of overwhelmed, because when you're at this specific place, you will understand why the content is there. So this is the welcome section. These drafts you don't see in your in your version. We start sharing from the beginning. These are simply suggestions that are my highest suggestions if you join this training, knowing I need to start making money doing this. I need to pay off this training, and that's what I want to do. You want to start with this. You want to be sharing your journey through the training from the get-go. You don't have to. You don't have to be on social media. You don't have to do anything. This is just my best recommendation if you want to have an audience to share your coaching with when you're done. And then we go into Vision Quest. So Vision Quest is the first experience. Vision Quest is the grounding element of this coaching training. It is organized by the 4 earth elements. And so between the content and the exercises and the different painting practices that each of those elements includes, you have so much content for your own in-person workshops, retreats, online programs, one-on-one coaching. There's information about how to use Vision Quest, one-on-one group coaching, all the things. There's lots of ways to use this content in the way that lights you up, right? I don't have any have-tos. There are no contracts. Besides basic plagiarism, I want you to use this information to wake up that creative spirit in as many people as possible. So you can see we go through air, fire, water, earth, and then we go into super soul flow. Super soul flow is the charging aspect of this new creative story and this reclamation of our creative selves. Super soul flow is the weaving together of guided meditation and painting. And this is a magical process that was given to me intuitively to remind us of how multifaceted we are, how much is available to us. We have a collective kind of pattern of thought. I'm not good at this. This is hard for me. I've never been good at this. And what the universe wants you to remember is that you are so much more than your historical experience up until now. So you experience the guided meditations, you receive a symbol, an image, a gift, you paint that on the canvas as a way of integrating, of receiving the deeper messages. Just like in my bear example, right? Like we've had significant bear knocking on the door, I want to come in kind of experiences just today. When I paint the bear is when things will start crystallizing. Otherwise, without the painting, if I didn't have this painting practice, it'd be like, oh, bear, and look up bear and write about bear. But the writing, the reading, that all keeps us in our minds. The painting, the symbols, the color, the imagery brings us down into our hearts. And we know, right, the electromagnetic field of our heart, the neurons that are in our heart, this is where the true wisdom is. This is where we want to be leading and living from, right? So this painting practice comes in to bring us into balance, right? I'm seeing the infinity symbol going between heart and mind. Most of our, modern ills, if I don't know, that's the word that's coming to me, is because we've become over mindful, like over mind heavy. We're thinking, we're trying to figure things out too much instead of allowing life to guide us. So that's super soul flow. In the 4-month creative biz training, that's the one I mentioned where we're going to go through Rise Above. So I'm going to train you on how to use that. So all you guides, you're going to want to stay tuned for that because you didn't get that in your training. You learn about how to create videos, how to edit videos, how to share videos, how to create workshops. So down here are all the workshop and coaching outlines, right? So again, remember, you have lifetime access to this. We have coaches that collaborate together on online kind of open studios, on online courses, in-person workshops, like you name it. There is an ongoing dialogue with the Creatively Fit coaches. Like I said, it's been since 2010, and it's an amazing community, and people come in and out, and they travel and they connect and meet each other. And I mean, it's just unlimited possibilities. So that kind of gives you an idea of the breadth, this whole shamanic painting section. I'm really feeling that coming back up. These, I don't know if any of you existing coaches have watched these top 10 ideas for your evolutionary path. This is me and Marie, who's here with me now, sharing these ideas. And those are super fun. This is an example of a 3-part video series that I did. I start out when I'm cross-country skiing. So like you bring your real life into the art and what you're sharing. Like I said, this is not a script. This is not like anything formal. We're not showing up as experts. We're showing up as enthusiastic life artists that are like, let me take away the fear of the blank canvas. Let me tell you a new story around creativity. And then let's engage in this magical medium that wants to support you in your like constant blooming self-reclamation, empowerment. It's really, really an awesome experience. the dream catcher. Anyway, lots of information in here. So again, this is yours 24/7. And then we have a schedule as far as like the group calls coordinate. And when you get the training schedule, like the first 2 weeks is fire, and then air, and then you spend a week in fire, and then 2 weeks in water, 2 weeks in earth. And you'll have travel, you'll get BEHIND, which is great because then you're going to disrupt your pattern and catch up and discover something new. So it's meant to be flexible and meet you where you are, because we're all humans living on this planet, and that's got to be that way, right? You want to plan for 4 to 6 hours per week for this training. Yourself, some of you really dive in and pick apart every detail, and that's awesome. Others of you are broad brushstroke. Some of you are coming in with lots of medicine in your medicine bag, and this is going to weave in so beautifully to whatever it is you're doing. We have massage therapists, yoginis, Reiki masters, life coaches, business coaches. It can complement any of your healing empowerment modalities for sure. So 4 to 6 hours. And yeah, I think that's about the details. So I'm going to wrap up the recording. So for those of you who are here live, stay on, and I'm totally available to ask any questions. If you're watching the replay, if you're watching on YouTube, just comment below and I'll answer your questions, or email me, whitneyfreya@gmail.com. The training launches tomorrow, March 21st. The kickoff call is March 26th. So you want to join by March 26th. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being, I just know if you're still watching this replay, you are a creative being who is attracted to communities, circles that are celebrating all that is possible and learning more and more to focus on what we want so that this whole world can benefit. So thank you for creating what you create, and I look forward to connecting with you further.